Hey y'all. Y'all hear that? The silence. There's a dog. Started doing this a little bit the last few days. I guess I do it by default sometimes. I don't know about y'all. Do y'all have to have background noise going all the time? Seems like I do more than I want to, but business I'm in creates a lot of solitude. And I know when I'm out there tilling or planting or get the lucky chance to go fishing, you're kind of alone with your thoughts. And things looking here a little different when that happens. It's what is this, Wednesday? Good Wednesday to y'all. You can sound off where you're at. We'll try to scroll back through them here in a minute. But I'm up here in an old pear orchard at the top of the hill on this old place. And I've kind of been thinking lately about time and its passage. And not hung up on nostalgia necessarily, but it bears noting. But thinking about the old paths. A good friend of mine has been talking about that a little bit lately. I'm definitely on an old path right now. You can't tell it by looking around me, but this is an old pear orchard. Had the trees are still over there, but there's nothing left of them. They're just forked stumps. But we used to come up here as a kid and family and pick pears and put them up. But more importantly, this spot of ground, even though it's all timber now, was probably one of the most fertile spots on this old place for growing vegetables. Can't tell it. And goodness, that's only been 45 years ago. Sure grew up quick, didn't it? Got me to thinking, in 2124, all of us watching this probably won't be here anymore. We'll just be names, and some folks will remember us. But you give it another 100 years, and we'll definitely just be names on a wall. All the stuff that we chase every day, paying for the big expensive cars and burning our candle at both ends. I'm the worst one of us. But, well, except for the expensive car piece. I don't even know if I really know my grandfather's grandfather, other than just a name and maybe one story. And that's where we'll be soon. Yet we keep running at it like we're going to really achieve something with all the hurry and bustle. Kind of had a life shift the last day or so. It's stuff you think about. I think y'all know it. But it just came to presence of mind here recently with an acquaintance down the road. I won't say any names. Somebody I've interacted with over time, over the last 5-6 years. And good little lady. Works a little store that I go get coffee at. Out of the blue, she's fainting and diagnosed with stomach cancer. Life flighted her down to Houston. Well, she doesn't have insurance, and I'm afraid it's at a stage that looks hopeless for medicine or medical doctors. But so they basically just packed her up and sent her back home. A week ago, she was doing fine and happy. But so prayers, please, for her, and I hope to be visiting with her soon. And it just kind of hits you how quick life can pass. Most important thing was working that job and making sure it had income flow, and now all that's changed. I think we've all experienced pieces of that in our life. But I tell you what struck me, and I'm not, this isn't political, this is just fact. It blew my mind. And he's so right. I was up there, and the evening clerk is now the morning clerk for obvious reasons. And he was kind of recounting a little bit of what happened. The gentleman that owns that store is not from America. I think he's a citizen now, but very sharp-looking, well-dressed, well-spoken man from India. And he's had the store on it for a little while. And he was over there stocking the shelves, and I'm cordial with him. He goes by Mike. I'm sure that's not his given name, but I guess us Americans have trouble speaking some of the other languages, so that's what he goes by. Pretty good guy. Always speaks to him when I'm in there. point of it is, Clark and I were talking about the situation with the little lady, and he quipped up and kind of interrupted our conversation. He said he was stocking his shelves. He said, you know, that's what's wrong with you, y'all in America. You give all your money to all these other countries. Give, but you won't take care of your own people. I mean, what do you say to that? He said, if I was, and it's broken English, but he said, if I went and fed my neighbor's children and made sure they had something. Well, here we are back. It'll play seamlessly on the replay, but he was chastising us as citizens, how if he is a father of his children, took care of all the neighbors' children, made sure they had plenty to eat, were provided for, while his own children starved and died, what kind of father would he be? How do you rebut that? So many people hurting in their own country, and just philanthropy all over the world. But anyway, here she's needing care and not going to be able to get it. Just made me think about some things, and have I been enough light to her? Don't know what she's at spiritually, and she seemed like she's grounded and got a faith, and I hope so, because that's what's most important. But then I kind of jumped off to the old paths and thinking about sicknesses and diseases, and my daughter and I was talking about it the other day, and I look around, and now the data doesn't show it. I guess technically we do live longer these days than we did in generations past, but at what quality of life? I dodged a bullet. My generation was probably one of the last ones that didn't get inundated with processed foods from a life of 2 income earners in a home, because that's what it took to keep up with the Joneses and keep all the bills paid, and the new cars and the credit cards and the bills and everything the kids wanted. I was raised a little different. We didn't want for anything. My generation, of course, did all the extracurricular activities. Computers were coming down the pipe. All that, we didn't have one of those. Our faith, at that time, we didn't have a TV in the house to speak of. But the biggest thing was, I didn't eat a vegetable out of a can from a grocery store to speak of till I was probably 15. It all came out of that little White House right there that came from that land behind me. So, may drop dead tomorrow of a heart attack, but I've enjoyed pretty good health over my life, and no dreaded diseases. Again, that can change, but I really think we've lost the mark, y'all. We're barreling down a fast path, and everybody's looking and searching for simple times again, but we're not willing to sacrifice to do it. I'm immensely blessed to be able to live on this old property. I know that. And talking to Dad this morning, I figured I knew the answer to this, but I need to hear it from someone that lived through the time. But this is not generational wealth here, as they like to label it. And there wasn't a lot of money going around here. They farmed. They lived simple. They didn't carry a note. Of course, you have to these days if you want a new car. I mean, you can't go down there and spend $30,000 cash on what we make. It's ball and chain. We end up, everybody in the house is working just to keep the status quo going. But this right here is where it's at. I could even live on a little less than I do. So I'm talking to myself, because I work 7 days a week, but I'm about to change that pretty quick. In the pool business, and mix that with my heart, and hardly anybody around to do it. I can't say no to anybody that's calling and asking, but at the expense of my sanity and my family, because I'm never able to go do anything, to just live. And really thinking about that the last couple of days. Not getting out of business, not quitting, just going to scale back to an even flow, right? That's just Us guys be hard-headed like that sometimes. But we have to lean on those old paths, and I think all of us miss them. Life was simpler then. It does take a pretty radical change. I guess not everybody can live and move to the country, but that's kind of been on my mind. I saw a little story about a boy trying to lift a rock. His dad was watching him, pretty heavy rock. He was giving it all he had out there trying to lift that rock. His dad hollered at him from the porch and said, "Son, are you using all the strength that you got?" The little boy grunted, "Yes, Dad, I am. I am." He kept grunting. He said, "Are you sure you're using all the strength you have available?" He said, "Yes, sir, I am." He said, "Son, no, you're not. I'm right here. I'm in your corner, and I can be a source of extra strength if you'll call on me." That's so much like our good Lord. A lot of times we go through some trials and stuff, like Miss Maria and others, and maybe you're in one now, and we think we can fix it on our own. Probably can't. But we know a guy that can help us, right? A little off track tonight, just kind of scattered thoughts, I suppose. Thinking about how far track so many of us are. Just the gravitation of this page, me walking around a little simple place like this shows that there's something in us that wants something a little better. There's two people on the polar end of the spectrum in the Bible. One had it all and one lost it all. And on both ends of the spectrum, at the end of the day, they said it was all for naught outside of their love for Christ. At that time, God. I'm talking about two Old Testament icons that we know well. One being Solomon, wisest and richest on the earth at that time, and Job, who lost it all. But they both was sure to make their election that God was supreme, and no matter how much they had or how much they didn't have, that's where it was at. So you get quiet. Get up in your own little pear orchard. Maybe it's the backyard. I saw a guy say to do that and see if you can count 20 sounds. 20. Sounds easy enough. Not two cars. If you hear a car go by, that counts as one. Another car go by, you're still on one. So one bird is one bird, no matter how many sing it. You'll find that as you get to 10 pretty quick, those next 10 are a little bit harder. You got to be even quieter, even more still, and concentrate. Maybe you get to 15. I hadn't got to 20 yet, even on this old farm with all the critters and sounds. The point of that is we get so busy. Those quiet, still voices and unctions from our good Lord are hard to hear. And when we distract ourselves with all the noise and craziness of a daily life, we can't hear it. Doesn't mean the sound isn't there, right? That cricket's still a chirping, the bird's still a singing, but we got too much going on to hear it. Really, done that the last few days, and it's amazing the clarity you'll get just slowing down and turning everything off and meditating a little bit, right? We got rain coming. It's going to throw a pink in my plans the next couple of days. Hopefully we can get some work done in the morning. We got 2 new goats this evening. My good buddy Stephen over from Douglas area. He actually gave me this cap, y'all. Let me see, there we go. Yeah, we talked about it in the subscriber feed a while ago. 2 more Nigerian dwarf does. I don't think I've updated y'all. You know, JoJo was sick. I'm sorry I get confused with the daily updates on the subscriber feed and forget what I've disclosed publicly. But JoJo didn't make it. She scoured and we've medicated her, but that's the mama of the 4 babies. They're all to a wean stage, so they're all fine. I've still got the 2 in the house. But She was the last of the 3 does that we had on this place, or the last of the 3 original goats. We had 2 does and a buck. We lost Reese 2 or 3 years ago, and then DW went last year, and then she made her final graze on the pasture last week. But a big loss, but that's part of farm life. Well, Stephen and I had already been talking about it even before that happened. In fact, I kind of consulted with him about some medication for the JoJo that was sick. But he had a couple little Nigerian dwarfs that were a little small for his buck. And if they had bred, it might have not worked out well on delivery. So he's had them a couple of years. And so they've now found a home here on the washboard farm. Let me see if I can show them to y'all real quick. There's one of them. And there they are. There we go. They're still trying to figure out where their bed is. Not having any problems right now. Little brown one's got blue eyes, y'all. How about that? And there's the little white one, white and black. But they're full grown. And I think I just thought I had Nigerian dwarfs, but I guess I'm schooled on that. I think JoJo was probably Nigerian dwarf, and Angora was a little taller. But those are cute little critters right there. They don't have names. Really hadn't done a whole lot of naming on these goats. None of them are meat goats, so we're not trying to butcher them. Hope to get a little milking action out of them on the regular for too long. But I don't know if it'll stick, but I remember a little old story my grandma used to tell me, not this one, but my dad's side. And I don't even remember all of it. It just came to me a while ago. And call them Flopsy and Mopsy. Anybody that ring a bell with any of y'all? You know, maybe I think it's a story about some bunny rabbits or something. That's all. I'm dating myself now. That's an old story that my grandma used to tell us. Now I got to Google it and figure out what it just hit me out of the blue. There's old Flopsy and Mopsy. How about that? Somebody save me in the comments if y'all remember that one. Maybe I'm just dreaming it. Or maybe she made it up. Huh? I don't know. Let me see who all's on here real quick. Man, these mosquitoes, Randy texted me. He said, man, I don't know if you're leaving the fertilizer out too long or what, but you've got the biggest mosquitoes on that place. And they're eating me alive. Sissy don't want me out of her sight. Because she is, the whole thing, of course she's always by me, but when it starts getting a little dusk, she is not missing the front door opening. Oh, Mr. Whalen's doing good. Everybody's good. Bart's in the house, living his best life under that AC. But all is well. I said I was going to look and see who's all on here real quick. Then I got another one to tell you on us old men and how we can be. It sounds just like something I would do. I like, oops, they just wrote a story about me and driving. A few of y'all know it rains. So I got to put on my glasses, y'all. Hang on. Let me get settled. Sorry about this. All right, let me go back up through here, and y'all still coming in. Probably lost all y'all on all that long whining talk. I know it's no solution. I'm just whining. Let's see who else is on here. Y'all sound off where you're at, and we'll say howdy to you. Appreciate all the new watchers. If you're coming for polished, you're not going to get it. We don't do polished around here. We just do the real deal. There's Trish Maddox Mearson. Soul is so blessed. We all need to live a little more simple. Take your scattered thoughts and let us all hear them. Well, I appreciate that. I really do. I heard a quote that really resonated with me. It's actually from a German philosopher, Kant. And I don't know if I agree with everything he said, but even an old blind hog will find an acorn every now and then. This really rings true to me. And I try to live my life by it. I don't always get it right, but I try. There are lots of things that I believe that I will never say. But I will never say something I don't believe. That's pretty good words to live by. I don't get it right all the time, but I sure try to make that the mark. That's a good quote there. Hey, there's Images by Outlaw. Brother, I got to get up there and see you. You ain't that far away. 45 minutes, an hour to Centerville. I want to come see your place. God is good all the time. Golf ball's coming down out of the sky right now. Oh, man. I guess that's coming our way. Whew, thanks for the heads up. I'm going to get up there and see you before too long. We need to connect on private messenger here and get some phone numbers exchanged. We got a long comment here. I'm going to try to read it. There's Barbara. When we first bought our property, we leased pasture land back to the original owner. 2 or 3 years or so, his cows could stay on the land. Cow trails all over the place. Sold off that set of cows. Pasture land sat. All the trails disappeared. They rebuilt the fence and got cows of our own. A couple of years later, the trails began to reappear in the exact same places. How about that? That is neat. Kids and I experimented one afternoon by closing our eyes, relaxing our bodies, walking forward, allowing gravity and the shape of the land to dictate our direction. Amazingly enough, we all ended up on those same trails. How about that? That is neat. I'm gonna go back and read this a little bit further. If y'all got it, yeah, I'm anxious to get off here and read that now. That's a neat deal there. Well, thank you for sharing that. Let's see. Teresa saying, I remember a little story about Flopsy and Mopsy. Okay, so I'm not crazy. Well, I could be crazy, but at least I got that right. Thank you for saving my sanity there. I thought I would just absolutely, Peter. Okay, thank you, Melody. Melody said, Flopsy, Mopsy, Peter Cottontail. All right. Howdy to North Carolina. Winter Garden, Florida. There's Teresa. Let's see here. I may have missed some of y'all. I'm sorry. I do go back and read them, and I'll respond to all of y'all as we go forward. But we'll tell you this one, and I think somebody must have known how I navigate and wrote a story. Guy took his family on vacation, and they were going cross country, and he had looked at the map, and there was a straight shot, interstate and all, but he wanted to find a shortcut, so he did. And they started down this first leg of the shortcut and then the second leg of it, and come across the next turn he was supposed to make, but there was a sign that said, do not enter, road is closed. Well, he looked down that road, it looked pretty good to him, and that was going to be the shorter route through there. He knew it. So he drove around the sign with his little family, and they tootling down the road, everything was going fine, and he was feeling pretty smug about his decision, that he had outsmarted the sign. They were going to save about an hour on time. Rocked along, the road was good. Mom wasn't saying a word. She knew better to argue with the road warrior. Well, about another 5-10 minutes passed. He rounded a curve, and there was a washed out bridge that was impassable. So here he is, 15 miles down his shortcut, but nowhere to go. So embarrassed, he sheepishly turned the car around and headed back up the way he'd come, following his road back to where he'd made his turn. As he approached that intersection where he'd made the decision to go around the sign, he looked at the sign on the back side of it that said road closed. It said, welcome back, idiot. Oh, isn't that something, how we always trying to find a shortcut around something? But the old path is tried and true. Dad was talking about that this morning. He and I were counting different things in life. And it's the old adage, you can't tell them until they live it. He said, what would it have been like if we'd have been this wise when we were 20? I'm like, well, you're right, Dad. He said, I tried to tell you. I said, I know. But he said, you know, that's the trick. If you had the wisdom when you were old at a young age, well, we'd be something, wouldn't we? I guess so. I guess it's